Welcome to this overview video of the SCPLM SolidWorks connector for Aras Innovator. As we will see in this video, thanks to an in-depth application integration, the SCPLM SolidWorks connector is your direct access to the Aras Innovator PLM system. The connector allows you to access the PLM functionalities right from within the SolidWorks environment and to manage the flow of information between the Aras database and the Aras Vault and the SolidWorks session and the local work directories. On the one hand, the SolidWorks connector fully adopts and supports the Aras CAD model. As it will be clear in a few moments, this includes creating and managing parts and CAD documents in the Aras database and storing and handling the SolidWorks native files in the Aras Vault. On top of that, the connector automatically creates and manages the associated BOMs and CAD hierarchies and takes care of the part number registration in Aras. On the other hand, the connector also supports all the SolidWorks dependencies and component states. This includes, among other things, design library and toolbox components, assembly and part configurations, summary custom and config-specific properties, and the management of the drawings data block. Today's video will cover the following topics: the integration of the connector within SolidWorks, registering and storing an assembly and its configurations into Aras Innovator, automatically generating and storing the associated BOM, generating part numbers in the PLM system, the bidirectional mapping between the SolidWorks drawings and 3D models and Aras Innovator, retrieving an assembly from Aras Innovator, and reusing parts and assemblies that already exist in Aras Innovator. As we will see in a few moments, thanks to the SCPLM SolidWorks connector, all these functionalities are available right from within SolidWorks. This greatly improves the CAD designer's efficiency, facilitates and fosters the collaboration in the design phase, and ensures that users with the proper permissions will have access to the latest generation. Let's first have a look at how the connector is integrated in SolidWorks. Accessing the connector functions is as easy as opening your SolidWorks environment and using the integrated connector ribbon menu. Without leaving SolidWorks, you can register your CAD models and generate part numbers, store your parts, assemblies and BOM into Aras Innovator, retrieve your SolidWorks files from Aras Innovator, lock and unlock in Aras Innovator the model and drawings currently in session, insert and replace parts of your SolidWorks design, selecting parts from Aras Innovator, reuse parts and assemblies already existing in Aras Innovator as a starting point for a new design, check non-latest to check if any of the files open in session are at a non-latest generation, access your local workspace explorer, and fine-tune the connector settings. I have loaded an assembly from my local work folder. Let's check where the files come from exactly using the file reference command. We see that the grommet component actually comes from a design library. This will allow us to see firsthand how the connector manages design library and toolbox components. This assembly has summary properties and custom properties already defined. As we will see in a few moments, the SCPLM's connector is able not only to map these values to Aras attributes, but also to write Aras attribute values back into the SolidWorks files. That is useful, for example, when you need to have the Aras revision and CAD document number synced on your SolidWorks files. The assembly has two configurations, closed and extended, which the connector is able to fully support. For each of the assembly configuration, I have already created a drawing. Let's have a quick look at the title block of one of them. Some of the information is synced with a 3D model, such as market or the configuration name, and as we will see in a few moments, some of these title block attributes will be filled out by the connector using information taken from the Aras Innovator PLM. We are now ready to register our assembly, components and drawings. I don't need to open all the drawings in session. The connector will find them for me. There is a pop-up message alerting me that the connector is set up to rename files. I click yes and I access what is called the Register Hierarchy Explorer. This window has the important function to allow me to revise all the information before I actually commit to register my design into the PLM system. First of all, I will create part numbers for all my new parts and CAD documents. There are three ways to generate part numbers. You can do them manually, like this, or you could search for existing part numbers in Aras Innovator and associate those numbers to the current design, or you could have the connector automatically generate part numbers for you. It is as easy as selecting all the items and click on Generate Part Numbers. The connector can use an Aras sequence, as in this example, or even an Aras server method that allows you to implement more complex part number logic. These icons tell me that these are all new Aras parts that the connector will create for me in the PLM system. As you can see, the name, description, type, PLM attributes have been mapped using information from the SolidWorks files. I select the top assembly and its configurations are displayed in this tab in the bottom left area. I can simply select the existing configurations and assign a different part number to each of them, as I configure the connector to create one Aras part item for each configuration. As we said, the connector is able to manage your drawings and it will create an Aras CAD document for each of them and apply all the property mappings to and from the PLM system. Finally, this is the Aras CAD document that the connector will create for a 3D model SolidWorks file. With a few clicks, I will quickly generate part numbers for all the configurations of the different components. On the right side, the connector displays detailed PLM information of the Aras parts and CAD documents that are going to be created. I could even modify this information, for example by assigning a subtype to one of the Aras parts. This action has two effects. It assigns a value to the PLM attribute in the PLM system, and this value can also be written back to the SolidWorks files if needed. We will see this in action in a few moments. Before actually committing to register my design, let's briefly have a look at the design library component, the grommet. It will be assigned a part number and the CAD document number, but the file will not be renamed. As you can see here, the connector is able to recognize that this is a design library component and treat it as such. In particular, the design library file will not be erased from the design library folder and it will not be renamed so that other users will be able to find it in the future. I click register and the connector creates part items and CAD documents items in the PLM. The actual files are not copied to the PLM vault yet. This allows the designers to reserve part numbers early in the design process, keep working on their design and actually store the files at a later moment. The connector asks if I want to continue with storing the files to the Aras vault. I click no and I continue working on my design. Notice that the files have been actually renamed except for the design library component. Also, some mappings have already taken place, such as the revision and generation for the 3D model, or the author and revision in the title block. Let's open the connector settings and have a look at the property mappings to see what you can achieve with the connector. This tab shows all the property mappings between SolidWorks and Aras Innovator for all the SolidWorks file types: assembly, parts, drawing, design library parts, toolbox components, and so on. The connector easily adapts to your business needs, as for each of these SolidWorks file types, specific property mappings can be defined. This, for example, is the mapping from the SolidWorks part files to the Aras CAD document items and Aras part items. The PLM property description, for example, is mapped from the SolidWorks custom property description. It is a forward mapping from SolidWorks to Aras. But as we have just seen, backward mappings can also be defined for 3D models and drawings. That means, as we said, that the connector is able to write PLM information back into the SolidWorks files. Config summary, config specific properties are supported, and even Aras methods can also be used, together with unique connector keywords. All these degrees of freedom ensure that the connector can adapt to a wide variety of real-case situations. Is it easy to define these property mappings? And where can one do that? Notice that I'm logged in to my Aras Innovator instance. All the connector mappings and settings are items in Aras Innovator, and creating and modifying them is as easy as logging into the PLM system as an admin, opening these connector items in the PLM and simply selecting the right options from the drop-down menus or type the property names with a very easy and intuitive syntax. The most challenging part is to design a connector solution that satisfies all your business needs and allows you to reach your goals. And the SCPLM's consultants can help you design such an optimal connector solution, guiding you through the process of discovering and analyzing your goals and translating those needs into a working and efficient connector solution. As your CAD designers may work on different projects for different customers or in different world regions, they may need to adopt different connector settings depending on the situation. That is why the SCPLM SolidWorks connector also allows you to create connector projects. You can think of these connector projects as a set of connector settings. From within SolidWorks, the user can switch to another connector project and the connector immediately adopts the settings defined for that project. Among other things, the connector is able to generate viewable files for your drawings, parts and assemblies, such as 2D or 3D PDFs, PNGs, step files, IGS and DXFs, plus many others. We will see this feature in action in a few moments. Some of these settings can be changed by the CAD user as they only affect his or her local system. For example, I will change the option Auto Erase to True, which tells the connector to erase the CAD files from the local system and from the SolidWorks session once they have been stored into the PLM system. Let's go back to our assembly. I can explore the properties of the assembly that is open in session and all of the other files in my local work folder by opening the Connector Workspace Explorer. This is a very useful tool that allows you to view in the same window both local system and PLM information for all the SolidWorks files in your local work folder. For example, we have the PLM revision, generation and state, such as preliminary or released. The connector also shows information in the form of icons so that users can identify very quickly which CAD designs I have already registered but not yet stored, which ones, for example, are already released in the PLM system, or which ones have been locked by other users. If you are looking for PLM information about the SolidWorks files that are open in session, the PLM tab is another very quick tool that provides useful PLM information. Let's proceed and store our assembly into the PLM system. This operation will store the physical files into the Aras vault. Once again, the connector displays an intermediate window that allows us to review the information before we actually commit to store the documents into the PLM. We can visualize detailed information of the Aras CAD documents and even change this information if needed. For example, I can select the manufacturing method for each of these CAD documents by using this drop-down menu, which displays the possible values as they are defined in the PLM system. Clicking on the List View tab allows me to sort by any column, such as Operation. This allows me, for example, to quickly see which items are being checked in as new revisions and which items are ignored by the connector because they have not been changed. I could even change operation for some or all of the items. When I click Store, the SolidWorks files are copied into the Aras vault and all the forward and backward mappings take place. The connector prompts me to store the BOM. I click Yes and the connector automatically generates the BOM for my assembly. After reviewing the information in the connector window, I click Store. As I had the connector setting Auto Erase set to True, the connector erased the files from my session and from my local work folder. Now my design is securely stored in the PLM. Before retrieving our assembly from the PLM, let's have a look at the items and relationships that the connector created for us in Aras Innovator. I search for Aras parts and I see that the connector created separate Aras part items for each assembly configuration. Let's open one of them. The PLM attributes have been mapped from SolidWorks and the BOM has been created, linking the top assembly with its children. I could even create a multi-level indented BOM report. The connector also created all the part-CAD relationships that link part items with CAD document items. Let's open the CAD document item for the assembly. The CAD Structure tab shows the CAD hierarchy that the connector created based on the SolidWorks hierarchy. As you can see, the easy and quick operations that we perform from within SolidWorks allowed us to create all the Aras PLM items and relationships that are needed to represent our CAD design in the PLM system. To conclude this overview of the SCPLM SolidWorks connector, let's imagine that I need to use that assembly as a starting point for a new design. I just have to click Copy from the connector menu and this opens a search window. Let's search for all Aras CAD documents with MEC in the name. I can easily spot the assembly using the thumbnails and the information displayed in the columns. The search bar could even be customized by adding or removing columns with the PLM attributes that you need. I could even tell the connector to display only the released PLM items or only the latest versions or specify an effectivity date. These advanced search and filter options can handle all the possible versions of the parts and assemblies in Aras Innovator and they allow you to pin down the exact CAD document version that you're looking for. When I click Retrieve, the connector retrieves the information of the top assembly and all of its children. Reusing your CAD design in the PLM system is as easy as marking the components that I want to reuse as Save As and assign a new name. These components will be independent components from the ones that are already present in the PLM. I could even replace components with other existing ones in the PLM directly from here. For example, I replace the center support with another one with additional holes. I click Copy and the CAD design is retrieved from the PLM, copied into my local work folder and opened in session. Using the PLM tab, I easily notice which components already exist in the PLM, and which ones are new to the PLM system. If I now register the new design, I notice that the new components are in green, meaning that I need to assign a part number to them to register and store them in the PLM system, while the others are in blue, meaning that my new design is reusing the existing components in the PLM. We hope this brief introductory video helps you understand how the ASIC PLM SolidWorks connector seamlessly integrates your organization's SolidWorks design data with the Aras Innovator PLM system. We have seen how deeply the connector is integrated within the SolidWorks UI, which in turn allows a CAD designer, for example, to quickly retrieve the correct design from the Aras Innovator Vault right from within SolidWorks. The connector also allows you to perform a detailed analysis and selection of models and drawings before committing to delivering the files from the Aras Innovator Vault. We have also seen how easy it is to reuse CAD design information from the PLM system thanks to the intuitive connector functions. The connector recognizes and supports design library and toolbox components and can also manage part configurations, even when it comes to automatically generate part numbers thanks to the connector's Hierarchy Explorer. Accessing PLM information for the design opening session and even for all the CAD models in the local work folder is very easy, thanks to the Connector Workspace Explorer and the integrated PLM tab. Finally, we have seen that automatically storing an assembly and its bill of materials is extremely quick and easy, and that the connector takes care of the mapping from all the summary, custom and config-specific properties of your SolidWorks files into the Aras Innovator attributes. It is also able to map PLM attributes back into your SolidWorks 3D models and drawings title blocks. Once the connector has completed the store operation, the new design is available in Aras Innovator for all the users with the appropriate permissions. Among other things, the connector automatically creates relationships between the CAD documents and related part items, and it also tracks and updates the relationship between their specific versions. It updates the bill of materials and creates a variety of 2D and 3D viewable files. For any information, including scheduling a one-on-one demonstration of the ASIC PLM's connectors, please call us or get in contact with us at info@asicplm.com. Thanks for watching.